Wednesday going into Thanksgiving. Everybody has tomorrow off, except for those people who have to go out at 4:45 p.m. and start selling to crazy people trying to get big deals.
Or
Andrew's working tomorrow.
Yeah, in the negative 100 million degree temperatures.
And there are radio people and TV people that'll be working tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My wife is angry because I blew $2,000, and I want to get into it. I'll explain.
Why would you be mad about that, Bill?
And it was not at actually 2002 that my initial tally on this was $2,002.20. And it's not the casino, just for the record.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of scratch-offs. If that's what you did.
Let's not talk about that. I support education.
He writes them all off.
Well said.
So here's how it goes. I work an average of 48 weeks out of the year, and give or take a few, to be fair. And I am a bit of a creature of habit, so each morning I bring in a Diet Pepsi from my house. And around 7 o'clock, it gets warm and disgusting. I throw it out, and I get down the hallway and spend $1.75 on a Diet Pepsi in the machine down there.
Which actually, in fairness, is usually pretty warm.
I sold my soul to the company store, is what I'm thinking. And that's where she's going with this. Now, listen to this. So it is warm, too. Something's wrong with that machine.
Yeah, thank you.
So when my wife buys, so it's about 33 cents a can for a dozen of these in one of those long boxes. About 33 cents a can. Mm-hmm. Down there, it's $1.75. So $1.75 minus 33. $1.75 minus 0.33. So what is going on? 1.75 minus 0.33 is $1.42 that I am wasting.
Times 40
by buying it in the machine down there. So if I were to do that times 5, all right, that's $7 a week. Times the 48 weeks that I work out of the year, that's $340.80 a year. Times the 6.5 years I've worked here, I'm at $2,200.15 that I've blown in that stinking machine.
That's funny.
$2,200 since I've worked here.
I think at that point you could take the machine home at this point.
I think I bought the machine.
Yeah.
So today I brought in 2 33-cent cans of Diet Pepsi. So that's what my wife was complaining about last night. You know, you spend so much money. Why do you buy it there? When I buy them, they're only 33 cents a can. Well, I kind of like the bottle because I take the bottle with me home because I don't completely finish it. So I'll leave with the bottle and walk around if I have a meeting. And but
can't do that with a can.
Apparently,
it's a spill risk.
I got to stop spending that $1.75. Claudia Tenney, is she going to? Yes, Angelo.
Can your wife buy bottles?
You're going to be really feel like I'm nuts, but I don't like the bottles from the store. I only like the bottles from the. I don't know why.
The warm vending machine at work.
From the warm vending machine. I don't know why. I don't like the bottles. Maybe they take up too much room in the refrigerator. But that could be it. There's something about a can. Dust. Ask any beer drinker. There's something about drinking a beer out of a can. And then some will say, oh, there's something about drinking it out of a glass bottle. Mm-hmm. But these are plastic. So anyway, good thinking there, Angela, but thanks. So Claudia Tenney, will she concede today?
No. I don't know.
She's down by over 4,000 votes. There are, what's the number? There's like 1,300 or 1,100, something like that, to go that have to be counted. There are some of the affidavit ballots, the ballots in question, and we're told there probably are hundreds of them, but that's hundreds. So if she were to win all of the remaining Oneida County votes, and then have all those hundreds of ballots reversed in her favor, she still loses. I don't think there's any possible way. Syracuse.com has now called her let's call Brindisi the winner. Utica OD has called Brindisi the winner. I tweeted out last night, and I really mean this, and I think we should all demand this. Based on the conversation, based on the speech that she gave on election night, Do you remember the concession? It wasn't a concession speech necessarily.
No.
Because they found out there were other votes and that sort of. But she continued to hammer Brindisi and the swamp in the Mohawk Valley in the district. And of course he's going to side with Pelosi. He's saying he can't, but it's all about the money. She raises money. So last night, with 1,881 votes left to be counted, Anthony Brindisi with a 4,002 vote lead over Claudia Tenney. It's time for a proper, respectful concession and then transition for the voters of NY22. And I sincerely believe that. I think it's time to – she has an opportunity. Don't you think there's some sort of an opportunity down the road that maybe she'll be given some sort of a position? I mean, there was nobody any more loyal to President Trump than Claudia Tenney was.
Yeah, I do think she'll get a position or something.
So now it's time to think about your own legacy moving forward. The other thing is, I have never been for this congressional term. It's pretty clear I've not been a fan of Claudia Tenney. She has not been a fan of mine. Things have happened personally between the two of us that I've been asked not to talk about on the radio. So I will honor that. It wasn't anything like that. What are you thinking? Disgusting. But I will say, though, that to me, this is an example that I think we should teach our kids. She took the position, and this is just my opinion, so you can disagree with it, and I'm not ragging on her. I'm not trying to kick somebody down kick somebody while they're down. But let's be honest. She had an opportunity to unite people when she became Congresswoman, and she spent a lot of time traveling around the world. She spent a lot of time getting back at people that she doesn't like, me being one of them. She specifically would not come on this show. Recently, when asked about that, she said, I'm not afraid. And I said this, too. She's not afraid to come on. Claudia Tenney's not afraid of answering questions. She did it as punishment. She wanted to go on my competitors so that I would not have her interviews. It would hurt us in terms of ratings. That was clearly an attack on me. Additionally, when the president came to town, she completely got back at all those political figures in the area that either didn't all overwhelmingly support her or those that didn't support her. And by not inviting them and excluding them, it comes to a certain point where you make so many enemies, and sooner or later, it's going to come back to get you. So that's my take on the whole thing. And I think we all can learn from that. And I hope that she does, too. A decent concession speech, respectful and decent, not disparaging Italians like she did, or going after people and saying awful things about people. Just a respectful concession speech out of our Congresswoman would be the right thing to do, and the proper transfer of power and leadership in the 22nd Congressional District. That's just my take. Take it as you want. Don't be angry. It's just my stinking opinion. What are we talking about? Oh, border security. I want to get to Rachel Sutherland, who's standing by right now. Good morning, Rachel Sutherland from Fox News.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm sorry. I'm pontificating this morning. I apologize for that.
That's all right. That's your job.
So, all right. Let's talk about the border and border security as we head into Thanksgiving.
Well, that's right. Kirstjen Nielsen, the Homeland Security Secretary, was at the border near Tijuana yesterday. She said, she was speaking to reporters, that right now, right over that border fence that they have there, she says there are a high number, 6,200 people as part of this caravan camping out in Tijuana, Mexico. She says there are another 3,000 in Mexicali, and that could ultimately result in upwards of 10,000 migrants amassing. Now, she also expressed concern about this ruling from a judge that blocks the president's order that would deny asylum to anybody who crossed the border illegally, didn't come to an official point of entry. But she also said, that while expressing disappointment, that the administration would follow that order. They are going to appeal, though. So the question is, what happens now? They're just going to hang out outside in Tijuana. I hear they've been sleeping on beaches. There have been some clashes as well as they had arrived. And she says this is a real crisis, even though some people are questioning whether or not this really could be justified to send the troops. And
for the people of Tijuana, this is they're extremely, it seems many of them are extremely upset.
Absolutely, because they've had this. Imagine 6,000 people invading your town. They're just laying around. They're on the beaches. They can't what facilities are they using? At one point, there was some kind of discussion about tent cities. I haven't really seen any go up. I don't know if that's the situation, but they're not really being housed in any particular way that I know about. And then there have been clashes with some of these folks throwing rocks over the border, and I've heard even worse on the Mexico side of Tijuana. So that would be very tough for the people and the people in that border town.
Rachel Sutherland, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Manansky, I disagree with you on the Tiger Woods Phil Mickelson thing. So, well,
careful, Bill.
I'm beginning to enjoy the argument you two have at 6 o'clock.
And I don't even ever like at least
yeah,
yesterday I didn't.
You're never responsible for it at all.
No, not intentionally.
I don't even think I was arguing with you. I was just saying I just to do pay-per-view, I think it's stupid. I have no more interest. I have less interest now that they're betting on the first hole.
How is the bet any different, though, than when the Super Bowl, two mayors place a bet against each other? So I think there is a novelty to it for some people to say, oh, I wonder who's going to win that first hole. They put $100,000 on it. It is a little rough because the average American cannot conceive putting a $100,000 bet on a hole of golf, let alone a $100,000 bet on anything. So, if anything, I would find that that's kind of a little exclusionary. So, I'm kind of with you on that.
To follow up on that point, Bill, whose money are they gambling? I'm paying to see it. My $20 is going to one of them.
You're right.
You know?
You know how many
that money's already spent. The point is that it's really to add on or emphasize the drama for people who do care.
I think so.
You do that report
Really?
and you say, "Oh,
I think they're
people, betting the one."
They're already playing for $9 million. $100,000 is really going to get me to bite
in this match. If they're crazy, they already are going to spend $20 and spend their time watching it. They care about a $100,000 bet.
I do think so. I do. And I think with somebody, whether it puts more emphasis on that first hole. And at the very least, this is curiosity. It's an experiment. I'm interested. And I think I'm going to hit the button on Spectrum. Probably for Spectrum.
I'll stop over. Jeff won't be invited.
By the way, Brindisi's been declared the winner. It's only $20 now for Friday night. That's what I'm hearing. The rates have already gone down.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. But I mean, listen, to say, Tiger won $9 million. No, she won 9.1 million. Who cares? I like golf. I enjoy it. I actually like both of them.
If Mickelson were to lose the whole match, he doesn't win the $1 million, and he loses $100,000. Not that that's going to hurt him by any means. Or it's $200,000 if they bet, or $100,000.
Tiger said to double it.
I think they went $200,000. Yeah. So all right, Angelo, what do you say?
A woman just called in, begging you to do your research on Diet Pepsi, saying it's the worst thing you could possibly be drinking.
I know.
All the things people to be mad about you, man.
Well,
she was so
she's
upset.
not mad. She's concerned. That's concerned. I get it, and I hear this. And you know that's all they say. It's bad for like stones too. Kidney stones.
Yeah.
I've been ever since Joe Lode told us about his experience. I've been paranoid, petrified of getting.
Just let her know that I have to have something, and it's either this or crack. And I kind of have gone with the Diet Pepsi, so it's a little safer than the crack.
If she has a crack.
If she calls back in, I'll ask her if she would like to talk to you directly.
Tell her thank you though. On the Tiger thing, I just think it'll be interesting to watch. I am interested. What are they going to do when they walk to the hole? Is it going to be like the Olympics where they've produced like 17 over dramatic packages, video packages, talking about someone that I don't know. Are we going to see Tiger's the actual video? Now, if this was out there, the actual video of Tiger's wife taking a golf club to his SUV. Now that I'd pay-per-view for. I'd pay a lot of money for that. So what do they do in between? I'm curious. I really am. And I am kind of curious. It's made me think, God, I wonder who's going to win the first hole and win that $100,000. Just a bit of curiosity. That's all I'm saying.
Can I just add one thing? Okay, here we go. Here's another email. Hey, Jeff, tell Bill to put the $142 he's saving every day on not buying a soda out of the machine in a jar and use that money for his vacation time. That's Jan commenting on.
All right, Jan. Thank you
soda
for that.
Addiction.
I'm glad Jan has been speaking to my wife because that's exactly what my wife. Do you realize what we could do with that $2,000? Yeah, I'd go on a solo vacation.
She must be bored, huh? It's school wound down early yesterday.
Oh, man. It's
Boy.
amazing. It's amazing when you sit there with your wife after 20 years of marriage and you're sitting there and you're having dinner and there's nothing to talk about. She's got to dig really deep, doesn't she?
I guess so.
Tanya J. Powers quickly standing by right now from Fox News. Happy Thanksgiving, Tanya.
Happy Thanksgiving. How come I miss all the good conversations? What are you doing?
It is. I'm a bit of a creature of habit. So every morning I bring in a Diet Pepsi in a can from my house, which costs, my wife tells me, 33 cents when she buys the 12-pack. But then by around 7 a.m., it gets a little warm, and who likes that? So I head down to the machine, and I spend $1.75 on a Diet Pepsi down there.
Right.
So my wife complaining that I have spent in the last 6.5 years since I've worked here about $2,500 on Diet Pepsis from the machine at the station. I could have saved that $2,500 if I only bought that 33-cent can in every single day. So that's where I'm at.
Wow.
Yeah, talk about being under the gun. That's me. Holy moly.
Wow.
And all this on Thanksgiving. So I want you to talk about this Thanksgiving getaway day.
She's right, by the way.
Yeah, I think she is.
Just throw that out there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm here for you. So, we all know this is one of the busiest, if not the busiest travel day of the year. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. If you're going, there's going to be more of us out there. I think we've already talked about the volume that we expect this year. It is going to be the highest travel volume for Thanksgiving week, or the Thanksgiving holiday, which runs from today through Sunday, the highest since 2005. Apparently, the economy has gotten to the point where a lot of us feel more like we're going to travel. Maybe gas prices are adding to that a little bit more, but 54 million of us are expected to travel 50 miles or more this week. If you are headed to the airport, obviously check with your airport to make sure your flight's still on time. The thing that I always tell people, because there's going to be a lot more people flying as well, according to estimates. We've already
we're looking
at least 2 or 3 more million who are going to be on planes.
And here upstate, we're looking at a winter weather advisory, so it's going to be a little sloppy. You don't know. There could be some delays at the airport.
That's true. Especially whether you're actually flying. This helps if you're meeting a flight. Let's say somebody's coming to visit you and you're trying to figure out when to go pick them up. Take a look at the FlightAware app. And you can set a reminder or an alert to come on your phone for, okay, is this person's flight delayed? Am I going to have to wait longer to go pick them up at the airport? Is it on time? When is it coming? It'll give you an alert and tell you, hey, this flight's on time. It'll be here and whatever. That's one of the handy things I tell people. If you're flying, obviously, check the TSA website or the app to find out, hey, am I taking something that's going to get me held up in a line? Because trust me, this is not the travel day that you want.
Yeah, you don't want to be held up
in a TSA line.
Yep.
No.
And they have. It seems on days that things are really, really busy, they have far less patience.
Well, yeah, because you also have a lot of people who don't normally fly, flying today and this week. So remember that.
Yeah. What do you mean I got to take my shoes off?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wait, do I have to take my laptop out?
It just slows the line. Yep.
So.
All right. Well, listen, you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Will you spend your Thanksgiving at home or at home, New York home?
I'm spending my Thanksgiving. You make it sound like I've got one in Malibu or something.
Yeah, well, one of your 3 or 4 homes. Which one is it going to be?
Sure. No, I'm staying here in New York, and I'm covering the Macy's parade tomorrow.
Nice.
So, it'll be fun. Yeah.
We'll be listening for that. So much. Thanks so much, and happy
Y'all
Thanksgiving.
have a good Thanksgiving. Yes.
You
thanks.
too. That is Tanya J. Powers from Fox News. Hold on. I have some comments from some listeners here. We'll pipe in this morning. And like one that says, oh, no, because you're not going to buy soda out of the machine. The president of Town Square is going to be eating Spam instead of filet this Christmas. Might be right. Comets are home tonight. I have to give away a pair of tickets for tonight's game.
That's awesome.
And you're going to have a hard time getting tickets for this game. So I think in the 7 o'clock hour, right around the time of our free money question of the day, we'll give you a chance to win Comets tickets this morning.
We also have one more pair of adorable, deplorable tickets. So a quick thought on the golf thing.
That's Dennis Miller, by the way.
Yeah, Dennis Miller, Mark Stein. What did I do with my – okay. So
tickets, that's the On Center coming up in Syracuse right after the first of the year, February, I think.
February.
Okay.
So the bet yesterday on the first hole with Mickelson and Tiger, here's the thing. He said he'd risk $100,000 that he'd birdie the first hole. So Tiger said double it. So I guess the other thing is
that he'll birdie the first hole.
That he'd birdie the first hole. So, and Tiger thinks he can too. So if they both birdie the hole, no one wins the money.
Mm-hmm.
If one of them pars the hole and the other one bogeys it, no one gets that money. I guess it's just the bet for the bogey or the birdie. I guess is the only thing I wanted to add to it.
I wanted to get into some people's comments. Julie, I don't understand the math. Why are you deducting the 33 cents from the $1.75? That amount is already spent. Let's think about this. So, the reason I'm deducting it is because the 33 cents is what I would have spent.
Yes.
Had I
brought two cans
instead
instead of one can and buying a bottle.
But she's saying you already bought the 33-cent can, which is kind of true. It's sitting home in my fridge.
Yeah, exactly.
But all right, I kind of get that.
And then
Well,
it's 60,
no,
if you're
right,
drinking
Bill.
2
No,
cans,
you're right. You're expending an extra $1.42 per day by not bringing 2 cans. Yeah.
Yeah. The amount you wasted is the full $1.75 per can, so it's actually more than the amount because she's saying I have a 33-cent can at home. So that's her point. Julie, I
you
appreciate
still
that.
will be
Happy
able to take
Thanksgiving.
advantage of the 33-cent can.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true. Although when I have a lot of cans around, sometimes I get sloppy. 4 or 5 sips, and all of a sudden it's warm, and who wants? And then it doesn't have that complete crisp taste to it when it sits in the refrigerator. There's nothing worse than a can sitting in the refrigerator.
You're right.
Some stuff on here's Michael. Looks like Claudia is going to have to go back to the swamp and walk her pet opossum. Do you remember the opossum
I think it was
from the commercial?
I think it was an alligator.
Well, there was an alligator there, too, but there was an opossum in there, too, if you remember.
Right in the beginning, yes.
Tina, you know how Trump has nicknames for people like Lion Ted? Well, I think with Claudia not conceding, we'll call her Classless Claudia. Ooh. What else do I have here this morning? I would love to see one writing a personal check to the other one after the 18th hole. That might be kind of interesting. But again, it's all relative, right? I mean, if they don't have any problem with money,
right?
They both have done extremely well in their careers. So $100,000 bet is.
And apparently, there's going to be millions of Americans just looking to fork over another $20 that they don't need.
Yeah, 25.
Is it 25 now? It's gone up.
What are you talking about?
It's 1999.
Yeah. Oh, it is 1999.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bill in New Hartford. Hello, William.
Hello. Good morning. This golf thing. What is it? $20?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
That reminds me of a saying, like P.T. Barnum. Sucker is born every minute.
Yeah.
Pay for that to watch those guys play golf.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be an interesting thing, but I would never.
You would not pay the $19.95 to watch it.
Just the principle of the thing.
Just the principle. All right.
Well,
I
I'm
think
with you,
you're with
Bill.
Manaski. So,
Yeah.
all right, William. You have a
Right,
wonderful
thanks.
Thanksgiving. Okay.
You know what
Thank you. You too.
I think would be really cool is if Tiger and what's his name? Who doesn't get along with?
Sergio Garcia.
Sergio.
Yeah, if they went in the MMA cage.
If they're paired, or if they went in an MMA cage, but if they're paired up in a tournament and they don't like each other and they're chasing each other, one's in the lead, the other one's chasing, and Tiger looks at him and says, "I'll bet you $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever that I beat you on this hole," because he doesn't like him. There's something, there's a real push there.
Yeah.
He doesn't like him. He wants to beat him.
Yeah.
He doesn't like
there's a
him.
hatred there. These two like each other. I would also be intrigued if Mick was like Tiger's he's got this long birdie putt he's got to make, and you know how he's got to have everything quiet. If all of a sudden, just as he goes to take his shot, Mickelson's like, "So, what are you guys doing tonight?"
How much was the bet on this one?
That would make it entertaining. 6:49, Willie Waffle standing by right now. Good morning, Willie Waffle.
Well, and good morning to you, too.
I think we have Willie's our movie guy, but also worked in the political world. Actually ran some congressional races, so we often talk about the Tenney race. Boy, Chenango County, Broome County really came out for Anthony Brindisi. Broome County is really the reason Anthony's up as far as he is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, it was a good strategy there to really work the one area of the county or the one area of the district where neither one of them truly had a home field advantage.
Yeah.
And you know, and I think if Claudia Tenney looks back on this and analyzes her campaign and analyzes her 2 years in Congress, I think the major regret is going to be, why didn't I do more in Binghamton? Why didn't I make more inroads into Broome County? Why didn't I make more relationships in Broome County? Why didn't I really make it like my second home just for this reason?
And I got to tell you that, I mean, you're down there. I've been hearing this for the last 2 years, that the people of Binghamton felt abandoned by Claudia Tenney.
Oh, absolutely. You know, she kind of showed up once in a while, but, you know, it felt like the congressperson wasn't really around. There was no congressperson for Broome County. She was up in Utica. She was, you know, everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that really hurt. I think it hurt that every time she had a really big name come to town for her, which would have gotten her some attention, it was a fundraiser. It wasn't a public event. I think that hurt a lot, too.
I agree. Even when the president came here, I would have thought that would have been a big rally. The other thing she did here is, and we talked about this earlier in the hour, is how she settled all of her scores in the last 2 years. She would not come on my show, and she says that we were unfair to her. The fact is, I caught her one morning on the radio in the midst of a complete outright lie when she was running with against Richard Hanna. And we just called her on it, and there was proof. She'd done an interview when she said she was home taking care of her dying mother. And that interview ended badly. But am I supposed to just be like, well, we don't have this proof here? It's right here in
I believe it was
black and white.
The guy from Madison County when she was in the primary.
Either way,
it was
It wasn't Hannah.
It wasn't Hannah.
After the debate. It was because the big issue was she was going after Stephen Wells, who was a Republican primary challenger, because he had brought up the mom.
And he said that she was campaigning when she was saying, no, I was taking care of my mother. I was not campaigning.
Because she had missed a vote that day in Albany was the big thing.
That was the issue.
That was the big issue.
So, Willie, I mean, we called her out on that. And from that day forward, everything went really, really badly for us.
And she was aware of it, for the record.
Would not come on the show because she was punishing me. When the president came, she did not invite, almost all the Republicans in this area were not invited when the president came. That was settling a score. She spent so much time settling scores when all you really need to do in Congress, I believe, and I could be wrong, is take constituent services. Just take care of people.
Yeah, you got to do that. And you know, I think you touched on one of the other reasons Brenda C. won. He was just more likable. I mean, just, you know, you got more of a sense that he was more of a, you know, down-home, regular guy. You know, his campaign ads were very effective in that way that, you know, while there were a lot of the nasty attacks and there were a lot of the nasty fighting, he really did work very hard, I think, to, you know, show more of a bipartisan side. You know, bringing in the mayor of, I think it was Frankfurt, for one of his ads I thought was brilliant. I think, you know, getting his kids involved. You know, usually I cringe when I see ads where the kids are getting all cute, but I think it worked for him.
That was a good spot. Yeah,
it really just made him somebody that you could accept as a congressperson, even if you were not going to be a Democrat or not believe in the Democratic principles that he's going to go to Washington with.
Yeah, shaking hands, knocking on doors, making sure you're reaching out to the absentees. That all clearly was the really what landed him the victory. But I do think though that at the end of the day, it's a big deal for a Democrat to win in this district with this economy, with the president coming out and saying you're voting for Nancy Pelosi if you vote for him. He had a lot stacked up against him, and I think if you talk to most people prior to Election Day, they really felt it was going to be close, but Claudia Tenney was going to win it.
Oh, yeah, I thought she would pull it off just by the sheer numbers of the fact that, you know, it is a district that tends to lean Republican. But you just brought up what's going to be my favorite story on the day they swear in the new Congress. Who's Anthony Brindisi going to vote for Speaker of the House? Because, you know, Pelosi's going to probably win and run, and, well, how's he going to get that going?
He's got to be he's one of the 16 that has signed this letter on Monday saying that they don't support, but you're right. There's really no movement right now for an alternative to her. So what does he do? A no vote? What does he do?
You can vote present.
Right.
You can vote president, which I guess that's better than going back on your word and voting for Pelosi.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big talks in Washington right now. Is there anybody out there that can challenge Pelosi that will actually run on the Democratic side against her for leadership? And is there anybody who could actually pull it off?
Yeah.
Well, one of the funny things I had seen was that one of the women that was going to initially challenge her, it was after it must have been a meeting. The media caught up with her after a meeting she had with Nancy, and she's like, well, I got to really look at it, the schedule and the travel.
Yeah,
and so
and
Nancy's out there saying, hey, you're gonna be able to go and have this travel schedule and raise this money?
She's 78 years old, Pelosi.
Incredible.
Yeah, she's 78 and she's tough as nails, and she kind of doesn't like people who cross her, and I think that's the big thing. Nobody wants to run against her for speaker because they're afraid they'll lose and they'll be in the doghouse for the next 2 years.
Yeah, well, as Brindisi said, I think I had one of my stories. Brindisi, he was doing a forum, and he said, listen, I'm voting against her. I don't care if my desk is out in the hallway. I don't care if it's out on the front lawn. I'm voting against her. So you bring up a point. It could cost him. There are 16 others out there that have come out, but 16 in the House, that's not going to do it. They need a lot more than that. All right, holiday weekend, the big movies start coming out, the big holiday movies. Let's start with Ralph Breaks the Internet. What is this one?
Well, Wreck-It Ralph is back with his pal Vanellope, but they've broken the video game that Vanellope lives in, and it's going to get junked, so they have to go out to the Internet and find the replacement piece. And, it's a funny movie. I like the way they've created the Internet as a place to go and the way they get from place to place, and the crazy things that we know about the Internet all come true here in this movie. But it doesn't really – it really feels like three movies smushed together, and any one of those movies could have really been very well developed and been a lot funnier, but I'm still going to say 2.5 waffles. I think you'll enjoy it, especially when we meet the Disney princesses behind the scenes.
What are you giving it?
I'm going to say 2.5 waffles.
2.5 waffles. How about the return of Rocky, Creed 2?
Oh yeah, and it's basically Rocky 5 or Rocky 4 all over again. We learn what happened to Dolph Lundgren, what happened to Victor Drago. He was defeated by Rocky. He was shamed. His whole life fell apart. His wife left him. Bridget Nielsen, she comes back in this movie too. But It turns out he's had a secret plan all along. For years, he's been training his son to become the fighting machine that he was not. He wants his son to become heavyweight champion of the world the way he did not. And they're going to do it by fighting Adonis Creed for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And, it's completely predictable, but oh my God. I mean, the Rocky movies just do fight scenes better than any other movie I've ever seen in my entire life. They're so dramatic and you get so wrapped up in them. And the rest of the movie is just kind of building up to that. How about 2.5 waffles for Creed 2?
Nice.
And the one I'm really kind of intrigued by is this Robin Hood movie, which looks like a completely different, almost a historic take on Robin Hood. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, they're really trying to rework it a little bit. I mean, they kind of start off the movie by saying, forget everything you know about Robin Hood because we're going to change the story. And so you get more of, I think, a movie that's trying too hard to have a hip, modern feel to it as opposed to, a traditional Robin Hood movie. It seems like they made the movie because they just want to put together a whole bunch of scenes of him flying through the air in slow motion shooting arrows. I mean, and everything else does not matter. Dialogue does not matter. Story does not matter. Charisma does not matter. It's one waffle for Robin Hood.
Wow. Okay. Any, quickly, 30 seconds, any big ones you're looking for that are going to be coming out for the holidays?
Oh, my God. I am looking forward to Clint Eastwood's next movie, The Mule, where he plays this 80-year-old guy who's kind of a drug runner, carrying drugs because nobody suspects an 80-year-old would be doing that.
All right, really cool. Hey, Willie, you enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll talk to you a week from this Friday. Thanks so much.
All right, we'll talk to you then.
All right. It's wafflemovies.com. The Robin Hood movie, one waffle. That's a big disappointment. Got a break. Hold on. Will you guys participate all in any of the Black Friday stuff, whether it's Thursday or it's on Friday?
I don't think I will.
I
might do
some
some
stuff
online
at
stuff.
Herb's because I know that like my dad. I hope he's not listening right now. But
Flannel shirts
he likes
today.
Anything from Herb's. So that.
Hey,
will
Angelo,
probably
does your family like get up early on Friday morning and go out and do any of the black?
My mother's having none of that. No.
Oh, okay, all right. So you follow in her footsteps there. Smart.
Yes.
I wouldn't have any of it.
I do have family coming
Actually-
in town who they do this every year. My aunt and my cousin, they get up early. They go, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're out.
Yeah,
it's
but they
a,
used
it's,
to do
it's
that,
a
I feel
tradition
like.
and an event for some people.
Yeah.
It really is.
There is one thing I'll go to, and that's twice a year there's Record Store Day. So independent record stores get like special limited releases from like thousands of different artists, and it's super, super, obscure stuff that is either the first time released on vinyl or like special reissues. So I will go to that on
Okay.
Friday at Music and More, and Kathy will be on later this hour
Yeah,
to talk
she's
about
on
some
later.
of the cool releases.
She's on later today, Kathy Dunn. And that's over in New Hartford, right? Music
Yes, Commercial
and
Drive. It's
More.
right in the same plaza with a Big Apple. It's right next
Okay.
to Tony and Tony's Pizza and Soho
And
Nails.
then yesterday we had Mighty John, the record guy, on, and he said if you ever go to an estate sale and you find a 78 RPM record that has any reference to blues, those are highly valuable records.
So are Elvis and Beatles stuff.
Oh yeah, if you can find any of that
75s,
stuff.
yes.
Anything Elvis, anything Beatles, you can't go wrong. How about the man, the cop who sees colors for the first time? They those glasses that they came out with a few years back?
If I'm not mistaken, we had Derek in here put him on for the first time.
That is correct. Derek at Broadway
Derek
Utica.
Clark, yeah.
He can see colors now. It happened to the sheriff's deputy in California named Jeff Dishman. He'd been colorblind his whole life, but he got a cool gift from his coworkers last week, special glasses that allow him to see colors for the first time. We witnessed it in person here in studio. He got emotional when he tried them on and said it was a different world. He talked about watching a sunset with his wife. Listen to this.
A small surprise. Do you have any idea what those are?
Yeah.
You're going to make her cry.
I'm
Want me to hold your
already
balloon? I better hold your balloon.
I'm gonna go over your glasses.
You okay?
I think they're working.
Are they?
Oh my god.
Right.
See?
Crying up a storm.
A different world. Can you see the green? It's different than that.
And they say, according to the instructions, it'll get better as you
It'll
the
get
longer
better
you
in
wear
about
them.
a couple of weeks. It's different. You see your balloons? You see the purple? That one's purple. You got green, blue, the red.
How do you know? If you've never seen it, how do you know? It's really weird, isn't it, when you think about it?
I've thought about. I would like to be able to put glasses on and not see colors to understand what they go through.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's quite dramatic. But it's funny. I mentioned Derek again. He said green was a color he never quite understood before.
Yeah, that's
And
really
then he put
interesting.
him on and he could see the grass and.
Father of a high school football player. We had this story yesterday in Chicago. Took to the sidelines in a referee's uniform. And he's accused of affecting how the actual refs call the game. The weird part is he is a referee. Did you have that part of the story?
Yeah.
That he's actually a referee. But he wasn't working that night. Now there's a lawsuit, and the other team thinks the win should be vacated. And this is a high school football game. Are you kidding me, bless you?
So what happened again? This guy's a ref, but he wasn't working this game.
He was
shows
watching
up,
his son's game.
He
and
shows
he
up
showed
in
up
his
in
ref
uniform,
in
and
uniform.
apparently was making calls. Which again, I go back to if he's not the crew chief that night, how does he get?
How do the other referees? But like,
Yeah.
okay, who's the guy dressed up as a referee over there? What's Bob doing here?
We'll take his word for it, I guess. Holding.
Anyway, a reporter caught up with the dad. His name is Richard Mercado, and this is what he said. Anytime now. Apparently not. I really am looking forward to hearing this clip.
I actually am too.
Of all the clips I'm going to play today, this one I really want to hear, and now nothing seems to be playing. Let's try it. Oh! Enough of that! Here we go.
I was just there as a parent. I wasn't there refereeing. I wasn't saying anything to anybody. I didn't do anything. So.
Are parents allowed on the sidelines typically?
No, they are not.
What about the tweets that you made or the Facebook post that said you had to do what was needed to make sure Naz won?
Facebook is Facebook, and probably things that I should not have said.
I was blown away. he acknowledged something that we think has been going on. The team.
How did he change the outcome of the game? Really?
I mean, that's my big thing.
I
don't
think what he did is I think somebody said, that was you down on the sidelines. What were you doing down there? And he went on Facebook like so many stupid people do. And you kind of embellish the truth or something, and you say something that isn't real. And he said, hey, I had to do what I had to do to get this team to win. And this reporter's like, she's all in on this. Like, this is the Super Bowl.
Take him down.
Yeah.
She's asking.
Unfortunately, should not have the honor of that win.
So they want to take the win away.
Okay.
All right. Every time you hear a bell, another Angel lost its win. You'll see that movie this weekend, right? Doesn't that always play? It's a Wonderful Life. Is that the movie?
It's probably about one of my favorite movies.
It'll play all day long. 5% of Americans hate Thanksgiving. Another 4% don't celebrate, according to a new survey. And that does not include the 4% who said they don't celebrate. There's even advice from psychologists on how to deal with the stress of and fear of hosting Thanksgiving. And when did Thanksgiving become a nightmare for people? I guess if you have to do all the cooking and you're just sick of it every year, year in, year out. But
you host, don't you? Is it a nightmare?
No, my parents do.
Oh, okay.
And we look forward to Thanksgiving, the food, and I go off my no carbs diet tomorrow. I'll consume thousands and thousands of grams of carbs.
Bill's going to wake up at midnight and start eating carbs.
Drive to New York City and be in the parade floating down whatever street that is.
Cops in British Columbia are looking for a man on a bicycle who collided with a car the other day, then got so angry that he pulled his pants down and defecated in the street.
Oh, come on.
Then threw it at the car. Police are looking for him. Then he took off. The whole thing was caught on video, for God's sakes. Do you think that maybe he was doing this just for the video clicks? All right, I'll play it.
Wow.
I'm not going to play it. I'm not even going to play the audio of the video. Do you want to hear it?
No.
I don't want to hear what he was doing. No. It's terrible. Let's see. Sorry, I'm struggling. I'm struggling a little bit. I lost my screen. All right, that's gone.
So back to the football game there just for a second. Apparently there was a critical call at the end of the game. The officials who were working the game were conferring to figure out what the call was going to be.
And he got into it?
He got into the conversation with them. So I guess the idea is that maybe he was influencing them or saying...
Is that the point where they realized what's he doing here?
I don't know. Apparently he spent much of the game on the sideline, which, as the reporter asked him, that's not, typically parents aren't allowed on the sideline.
Yeah. All right, hold tight. We'll come right back. We have a free money question coming up. It's worth $100 in cash today. But also Comets tickets on the line from the Hobico Law Firm. We'll do that right after 7:35. Hold tight. Good morning, Sherry. How are you?
Morning. Good.
Good. Do you do Thanksgiving at your house?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so you're a kind of. You're not really big into the whole big
No, I'm one of the 5%.
Good for you. All right. So tomorrow's just a day to kind of sit around and hang out. Not bad.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, well, let's try to do it with some winning. First of all, let's narrow this down. I have, as a potential consolation, I have Dennis Miller tickets. Also, and this isn't a consolation, Comets tickets for tonight. Be thinking about that if you'd like either one of those, if you don't win the cash, okay?
Oh, all right, yep.
All right. So here we go. For $100 from the Hobico Law Firm, here is your question. Robin Hood's Sherwood Forest is located in what county? Ready, go.
Birmingham.
Oh, that was a good guess. I would have accepted Nottingham, but it's Nottinghamshire is the correct answer, but Nottingham I would have expected. All right, let's give you okay. You want the Comets tickets, the Dennis Miller tickets, or do you want to take another shot at $100?
You know what? I'm going to go for the Comets tickets.
Okay, these so you definitely can use them for tonight's game.
Yeah.
7 o'clock. And these are great seats. We're going to hook you up. And Angela's going to get all your information so I can transfer the tickets over to you. All right?
Okay, thanks.
You enjoy the game tonight. Thanks so much, and happy Thursday.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Bye.
I'll do one more question, Angelo. I'll take it. You take care of her, and I'll take whoever. Caller number 3. Let's give one more person a chance at $100.
Can we give him a chance for $500? I mean, we're not having one tomorrow.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Just putting it out there.
Well, Bike is going to crush you.
I know. It's Thanksgiving, though. Maybe he'll be a little forgiving.
I'm giving another shot at it. There's another shot here. I'm giving somebody another shot.
I'm just saying we're not going to have a $500 question this
Caller
week.
number 3. I'll do caller number 3 right now at 315-736-0186. Okay, Angelo, you take him. Caller 3. Oh, Bike is on the line. You're dead to me.
Oh.
That's what he just said. I just did have an extra question in here to kind of throw out. I thought she might have taken that opportunity, so let's give another shot at it.
Sounds good. She came close.
That was a very good guess.
It was Nottinghamville.
She had Ingham.
Nottinghamshire.
Nottinghamshire. She said Birmingham.
Right.
She had
so she had
Birmingham.
the Ingham part right.
Yeah.
Jim is that line 3. Must be Jim in Utica. Hi, Jim. How you doing?
Well, good morning and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, Bill.
Thank you so much, and to you as well, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. You're going to have 7 seconds to answer this for $100 from the Hill Michael Law Firm. Here we go. Pot, we all know, is slang for marijuana. In what country did the word pot originate from? Ready? Go. In what country did the word pot originate?
Oh, golly.
Is it us?
It is not the United States, although it did become popular in the United States. I kind of was hoping you'd throw out the obvious Mexico.
I was going to say
that is the answer.
golly.
That's the answer. Hey, as a consolation, would you like maybe Dennis Miller tickets?
Certainly.
I can do that for you. It's coming up in February. Should be a great show. We'll also give you a jar of It's a Utica Thing sauce, bottled Riggy sauce. It is delicious. It's now in 6 different flavors. And you can pick it up at any Charlie's Pizza, any Utica Pizza Company, and at Price Chopper and Shenatries and markets all over the place. We'll give you a jar of that as well. Sit tight, and Jim, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah, likewise, Bill. Thank you again.
Thanks so much. Angelo, take care of him. So the Nick, did you guys ever know this?
I had no idea.
I'm doing this because Nagel's saying we were completely ignorant when it comes to any information about marijuana yesterday, and he's probably right.
Well, what did we talk about yesterday about that?
How much you get? An ounce. I'd like his opinion on that. An ounce a day is what Massachusetts is allowing for recreational use.
But my numbers were all good. There's 28 grams and.
Pot is slang for marijuana. It did originate from Mexico. The nickname pot comes from the Spanish word potigaya. Potigaya. I think I have that right. Which means marijuana leaves. And it became popular. And it's a Mexican-Spanish word that is a contraction of potación de guaya, which referred to an alcoholic drink made of marijuana leaves soaked in brandy or wine.
Okay.
And
what
back in the
called?
it's potación de guaya.
Okay.
Where's Christine Bellino when we need her?
And I took Spanish. We didn't learn that in Spanish class.
I don't imagine you would
I didn't
have.
get that one. Anyway, it became popular in the United States in the late 1930s, early 1940s. Prior to that, they just called it marijuana. There you have it. All right, we'll talk a little vinyl here with our man Angelo. And her name is Kathy Dunn, and she owns Music and More Records, a record store. She is actually in studio, right? I believe. We'll do that next year at WIBX.
So essentially, in 2008, kind of when vinyl was coming back in, they've got a headquarters. It's called Record Store Day. And all these independent stores, so like big stores, for instance, like Target sells records again, so does Barnes & Noble.
Mm-hmm.
They're not involved in this. It's independent stores. You sign up, and you get a lot of records in. They're all independent releases from Eric Clapton, Kiss does stuff, and they're limited edition picture discs or colored vinyl. But essentially, it's twice a year, and one of them just happens to be Black Friday. So, and then the other one is in April. I believe it's April 18th. I might be wrong on the date, though.
Okay. Oh, so you're telling me she's not here?
No, she will be here in the next 5 minutes.
Oh, in the next 5
So
minutes.
you got to keep in mind,
Okay.
she's a record store owner. She's not.
Understood.
It's too early for her.
She's gonna miss her window here, I'm afraid. We have to move her into next hour. I'll do the best I can for you, Angelo.
Fantastic.
Today being the day before Black Friday. We were talking earlier about Claudia Tenney and the results from yesterday that came in. Oneida County released a portion of their results, right? It's, I believe, what's the exact number? It's
109 of 192.
Yeah, I think so. So you're gonna have a lot of rural areas. Rome is done. Most of New Hartford is done, and the city of Utica is done. But there are other districts out there that have to be counted. But about 1,800 votes remain. Brindisi is in the lead by some 4,002 votes. It is mathematically impossible for her to catch up, even if they challenge some ballots, and that it's just mathematically impossible. So we're kind of expecting that Claudia Tenney today would concede, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we now have a new congressman. So the fact that this was so close, and we were speaking about this earlier too, interesting, right?
Yeah.
Especially in a district that is as it certainly leans Republican.
Sure.
At a time when the president came in and all the president's family and friends came in support of Tenney. But I think the biggest thing in this race that was the obstacle for Brindisi that a lot of people didn't think he was going to be able to get over is the Nancy Pelosi issue.
Right.
So at the
it's funny because either it's not going to matter because they're not going to need his vote.
Well, that's probably going to end up being the case.
And if he does vote, yeah, I don't think there's any way he could possibly vote yes. I mean, that was one of the biggest promises he made is I'm not going to vote for it. He can't 2 weeks
Well,
in
and he's already signed this letter of 16 with 15 others that all saying that they will not support Nancy Pelosi, trying to create a movement where there would be a different Speaker of the House, a different leader.
Now, does that hurt him if he's trying to propose a bill, if he's trying to do something?
My guess is that this whole thing, and I saw this one interview about Pelosi, how she really, she basically ran the Democratic side of the midterms. That's her role. She was the person, and she overwhelmingly invited those candidates that needed to say that they were not with Nancy Pelosi. She was all in on it, and she completely supported them denouncing her. So knowing that they could not win, if that she was not, especially in these areas that kind of lean Republican, that she was not strong.
Yeah, and I think it was the last I saw was 14,000 she had donated through her PACs and through her own campaign, right? And it was interesting when he's saying that because certainly she's going to know that, and I guess it would be possible to take the donation back, but that did not happen. But so you're saying she was aware of this and was like, go ahead, do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. As a matter of fact, might have even said, based on the research that we're doing, based on our polling, that we
won't need your vote.
You won't get in if you don't denounce me.
Yes.
So she did all of that.
Yes, but also I'm saying they're in their calculations of her being elected.
I don't know that that's going to be we don't know yet, but there's really no one challenging her right now. So the writing is kind of on the wall. There's certainly time for somebody to come out, but who would that person be? I don't know who that person would be.
I thought there was, I can't remember the name now.
There are a couple of names that have been kind of thrown around, names that I really can't recall necessarily, but I don't. They've kind of faded away just a little bit, and there was a bit of a resurgence this week when those 16 Democrats, including Brindisi, came out and signed the letter that it's time for new leadership. That's what they ran on. We'll see if that grows, but as of right now, not sure. But with Tenney behind by 4,002 votes, it's the hope would be that her concession is different than the concession that she gave, even though it wasn't a concession, on election night.
Recap speech.
Because she really went on the attack on election night, talking about Brindisi and the swamp and corruption and the fact that this area gets what it deserves, and not her. And it was not a typical speech that a candidate would give on election night when they're behind. So I'm hoping that for everybody's sake, for the district's sake, for the proper transfer of leadership, that it's done in a very classy way.
So I'm on CNBC, and it's not giving me, any other candidates, but it does have this interesting tidbit here. It says, if Democrats end up with 233 House seats, as expected, Pelosi can only afford to lose 15 votes.
15. I knew it was 14 or 15.
From the caucus and then become Speaker, and there's 16 people who signed that letter.
However, you now have the president saying she deserves to be Speaker.
We'll give you the votes.
We're going to give you the votes you need. Now, will those Republicans, can they find any way within themselves just to be obstructionists to vote for Nancy Pelosi?
This is, I don't know. This is completely a play. It's a play. It's a plan.
No doubt, yeah.
Let her get out there. Let her be the leader. Let her say things that are going to infuriate people, and then you all can vote Republican when I'm up for president. That's what his hope is.
But as of right now, if it goes the way Republicans go the way one would expect them to go, and that is not to vote for her, they don't have the votes. She doesn't have the votes right now. So who else pops in? Or does she end up maneuvering her way in? We'll see. Anyway, we'll see if that concession will come today from Claudia Tenney, but pretty much everybody's called it. It's mathematically impossible at this point, but still a very, very close race. And it'll be interesting to see how Brindisi moves forward. They did make a statement yesterday saying that they're hoping for a very congenial transfer and transition to Washington. Holiday betting, you might want to consider BrandonLang.com. Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
What's up, kids?
So we're up to the Thanksgiving games.
Crazy. I'm still trying to get over the Monday night game.
Yeah, how about that?
Just you bet it. I'm here in Vegas. I bet it. I bet the over, and you kind of sit back and go, why don't I just empty my entire bank account? And they missed that total by 40-something points. It just crazy. Vegas lost 7 figures across the board on that total.
Wow.
Yep, they got crushed.
Now, who would have expected? Highest score, Monday Night Football, and since the history of Monday Night Football, I think, right?
Think about this. The last 12 totals that have had a line of 57.5 or higher have gone over the posted total, 12 in a row.
This is the biggest week of the regular season. 3 games, of course, tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day. Chicago at Detroit, Washington at Dallas, and New Orleans hosts Atlanta. You like any of them?
If I were to tell you last Sunday that Mitchell Trubisky was going to throw for 136 yards and the Bears wouldn't have an offensive touchdown in the second half, would you have think they beat Minnesota? That's my point, is that people are hyped on Chicago, and that offense, when they play a defense, they're not as good as everybody, like Denny Green. They are who we thought they were. It's just that Kirk Cousins is that bad in primetime. I think the Lions have won and covered 4 of the last 5 on Thanksgiving. I like the Lions plus the points. And you just got to keep riding New Orleans. Whatever the line is, it does not matter. They are functioning at a level we have not seen since the Niners of the 90s with Steve Young and Jerry Rice. Yeah. I say you lay it with New Orleans and you take it with Detroit.
Let's go into the weekend. Looks like Josh Allen's starting. We asked you about that, and you're all in on that. Where are they going? You want to get this guy as much playing time as possible, right?
Said it a million times that Troy Aikman went 1-15 his rookie year, and he's sitting in the Hall of Fame. They won 3 Super Bowls. Nobody remembers the 1-15. Think about that. As life goes and you remember those Cowboy teams, you remember Emmett, and Michael Irvin, and Troy Aikman, and that offensive line, and Jimmy Johnson, and all that. 1-15 with Troy. There you go, Troy. Go get it. Take your lumps. And they need to do that with Josh. I'm glad he's back. The game's going under the posted total. I think both defenses will show up here, play under.
Jets host New England.
Boy. Todd Bowles on his way out. Word on the street. No wins or covers last 4 this year. However, against New England, they've covered 7 of the last 9 with a push. Big number. I think you have to look the way of the Jets, plus the points.
How many? How many is it?
Last I chose 9.5.
Wow.
May have moved. as quick as I am, I will give it to you right now. Out of the bye week, Bill Belly, good old Bill Belly, currently sitting at 9 and a hook. There you go.
And one Manaski's eyes are like, after 2 weeks, wide open here as a Giants fan.
Oh, come on.
Predictions are they're going to win out. And what do you think?
They could in that division.
Giants at Philadelphia, 1 o'clock Sunday.
Boy, that's a tough one. But I tell you, Philly's secondary, I said it going into the Saints game on your radio show. I said I would be absolutely shocked. Said it on your show last week.
Mm-hmm.
I would be absolutely shocked if the Saints didn't put up 50. I'm a little upset that they got 48 and didn't get to my 50. I hate making those predictions like that and then them not doing what they're supposed to do. A little angry about that. But when you break down the Giants, getting the 6 on the road, right side of the game, if you look at the remaining schedule, every game is winnable. You might run into some problems at Indianapolis.
The Colts game is the tough game, yeah.
That's it. That's at Indianapolis. But Tennessee at home, Washington on the road with Colt McCoy now. They could do this. 8-8. That's the goal. 8-8.
All right. Quickly, I want to ask you 2 college questions. Make it 3. First question is Syracuse basketball. Oh Lord. Second, what in the hell happened with the Yankee Stadium with Notre Dame?
Yeah.
And then the third is up and coming. But take the Syracuse questions first.
The basketball is I never pay attention to anything Jim has going on early in the year because that 2-3 zone with new personnel come January and February and the length and learning it, they're beast. They just are. They get it going second half of the year. They do it every single year. Don't pay attention to them. He'll have them right there. They'll pull off 2 upsets in the NCAA tournament. You'll look up and they're in Sweet 16. That's every year. So
that seems to be
don't
big.
Even worry about it. What happened at Yankee Stadium was you lose your starting quarterback in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And you got no shot whatsoever. And the game changes. Your defense then with turnovers gets tired. Once your defense gets tired, it becomes a blowout. People go, the game was never close. If Dungy's in there, it's a whole different
Well, it was
ballgame.
only 2 touchdowns at that point when Dungy got hurt.
Yep.
Pretty sure.
And they were, and listen, they were driving. They were at midfield.
Yeah.
And they had been moving the ball to begin with. Just a couple of third down misses and a couple of misassignments by the offensive line against that D line. And once you lost him, I mean, nothing against Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Twins or whatever the name of that movie was, but that's it. And the third question, which
he's
I've
so
now
short,
forgotten this
Danny
early in the morning, was,
DeVito. He can't even see over the line at all. I mean, he can't see over center, for God's sakes.
No. So, and the third question?
Third question is for Thanksgiving. I wanted to bring in Kathy from Rome, and you know she's going to have a Michigan State question. Good morning, Kathy. You're on with Brandon Lang.
Hi, Brandon. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
You too. Thank you.
How do you think Michigan State's going to do tomorrow with UCLA?
You know, they're playing pretty good basketball with the personnel that they have, and the comeback against Kansas was impressive, very impressive. Of course, you know my affiliation with Matt McQuaid, having played high school basketball with his son. I think Tom Izzo is going to surprise people with this Michigan State team, and as the season goes, they're going to be right there. I believe they don't have the hype surrounding them this year. And I think Tom functions the best when the hype's not surrounding his program.
All right there, Kathy. There you go. You have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks so much. And Brandon, thanks so much. Have a great Thanksgiving. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
And it's BrandonLang.com. We'll do it again next week. And away he goes. Coming up, it's Record Store Day on Friday, Black Friday. We'll tell you why. Coming up next at WIBX. I want to thank Donna Chufo for not trying to lure us in on Friday, because the only reason we come in on Wednesday is because she comes in with pies.
Yeah.
So
and it's hot right now. And
if she were to be like, I can't bring you the pies until Friday, that would really blow.
Yeah.
Wait, come in though, because these pies are good. Thank you, Donna, for that. Kathy Dunn is in studio right now. Hi, Kathy, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
And you've had a local record store here for how long? How long have you been dealing in vinyl?
Well, dealing in vinyl a long time, since 1986. In New Hartford since 2011.
Okay. And I didn't realize, but Black Friday is considered Record Store Day. Explain the history of all that and how you're involved.
Well, I've been involved since the beginning, since it started in 2007. It was started off really, really small and only like about 25 releases. And then it advanced into what it is today, which is like 700 releases.
Wow. 700 record companies are putting out 700 new releases today.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. And they're all limited editions. They're all colored discs, shaped discs, hand numbered.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
So I want to.
Oh, that's an actual record right there?
You have some records. Okay. Can
Yes.
can you hold that up to the TV?
camera's
What is
right
that?
over there.
What is that? What is that shaped like?
This is shaped like Africa. It's the Weezer release covering Toto.
Okay.
So they made it cool in
Get
shape.
out of here.
I
And
know.
that will actually play in a record player?
It plays. It's a 45. It just plays in the center.
And a couple of
So
years
the rest
ago-
is just decoration.
A couple of years ago, they released Toto's cover of Africa in the shape disc, same shape, different logo, obviously, but yes. So that's also a little cool.
That is very. And what is this selling for? How much does this sell for? $20.
That's one. Yeah. Where did I put it?
Oh, sorry, I gave it to Bill. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah.
That is really, really cool.
It is very cool.
And that song did incredibly well. I mean, that was the song of the summer, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's funny because
I'm going to set it
they're
over here just
they're
for a second.
actually they're doing Weezer songs. So it's kind of like they're trading off. They're like, oh, well, you did
Toto's
our
doing
song.
Weezer
Well, we're going
stuff.
to do one
Yeah.
of yours.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So, yeah.
And Toto's still good. I've seen him in concert in the last 2 years, and they still are like phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
They are good. They're straight on their
All right, what
game.
else do you have there? Is this a new release today?
This is the one and only release.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
one day only, one production.
Wow.
Done.
That's wild.
So what I get when it sells at the store, it's done. The only place
Okay.
else you're going to get it is nowhere.
How many will you have today, or for Friday?
I'm still having some come in, so
Okay.
I have no
So you're
idea
gonna
what the
have-
final
you're gonna
numbers.
have some.
Today's going
All
to be
right.
the last of the boxes.
All right, you're going to be less one in a few minutes, though.
What's that?
There'll be one fewer when you leave.
She's also got, which is really cool, she's got the only single from Paul McCartney's new album that was released on vinyl.
That was also.
Is that the song?
No, it's Come On To Me. It's not like
okay.
This one is I Don't Know and Come To Me.
Okay. Listen, for the guy putting out an album that is in his 70s, for God's sakes, and he's still playing to a pop crowd,
Bravo.
it's really unbelievable.
Yes, it is.
When you think about it.
That's talent.
So I have to imagine,
This
too.
Weezer thing is blowing my mind, how they're releasing these one-day-only releases. These things are going to be valuable. They'll ultimately be valuable.
They are. I actually brought one with me, not here. It's in the other room.
Yeah.
It's from the band Typo Negative, which is highly sought after.
Mm-hmm.
That one, I believe there was only 3,500 worldwide.
Wow.
So that one's going to be the first one to fly off the shelf in
But
about
even
30
the
seconds.
Africa, when it was released by Toto and the picture disc, now it's worth like $100, even though, back when it was released, say, I don't know, I think it was 2012, it was, $20. Now it's over $100 if you find a copy of it because it was limited in the first place.
Have you seen advancements in like turntables and record
Everything.
players?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. But I try and stay more in the vintage. I carry
Okay.
the vintage stuff, not so much the modern. I do carry new vinyl, but I do prefer my vintage vinyl. I like
And
the
she's
analog
always
stuff.
ordering new stuff. So if you ever come to the store and you're like, Paul McCartney's new album, are you
It's
getting
on
a
the
copy?
wall.
And she'll order it.
It's there.
So the Technics 1200 is the
That's pretty good.
world standard.
That's pretty good.
That turntable, but I used to do a lot of weddings, but that turntable holds its value. That turntable was selling for $400 in the 1980s. You can buy a used one on eBay today for $400. They do not lose value,
No.
those turntables.
My listening station at the store and my store stereo system are both Techniques.
Yeah.
I love them.
Great turntables. Okay, anything else you want to showcase here?
Well,
Or sell to Bill this morning?
Yeah.
Well, I really want. And I don't have any cash on me today, but I will be stopping in today. I'd love you to save me one of those. I want to buy one of those for a Christmas gift.
This is the cool thing. It is Stone Temple Pilots. And the thing that's cool about it is it comes with 3D glasses, and it's all in 3D.
Wow, that's really cool.
So it comes with some cool
That
stuff.
is neat.
Yeah, and they do nice reissues of, like, yes, Time and a Word, classics. So, I mean, they're doing all sorts of good things, and a lot of things are numbered.
Has anybody done anything with the so like my wife buys this bottle of wine, and you download the app and you put the iPhone up to it or whatever phone, and it tells it's like criminal or something.
Oh, it's the 19
murderers,
crimes. 19 crimes.
19 crimes wine.
19 crimes.
And you put the iPhone up to it, and the label comes to life and tells the story about the criminal. It's really kind of cool. Have any? Because that's going to be why is
I have
our
never
record
heard of
companies
that.
not taking advantage of that? Because you could do the whole thing on an album cover.
Well, you
Kinda
know, there
cool.
are some records though that, like, if you hold like light up to them in the perfect angle, you know, it's like 3D images pop out. Like I know Star Wars released a couple releases a couple of years ago, stuff like that. There's stuff when you hold it up to the light, it turns a whole different color. What is it? The Styx album from 1980. What is it? Paradise Theater is etched.
It's etching.
There's etched stuff.
What do you have in your personal collection that you don't bring into the store because it's just too valuable?
Ambrose Slade.
Okay.
Anything
Angela.
Slade, honestly.
Really?
I have a lot of Slade starting back in 1969.
All right. I don't really know much about them.
They were the best group ever.
Okay.
Period.
Best group ever.
Period.
All right.
Bill, come on, feel the noise.
Yeah, a lot of bands covered their songs. Quiet Riot covered
Okay.
quite
cool.
a few of their songs.
I guess I didn't know that. Shows you how much this kid over here at 17 years old knows more than all of us do, except for you.
All my Slade stuff I learned from Kathy.
Okay.
I'm a
All
Slade
right.
pusher.
All right. Your hours, and so your big blowout, it's not as much about you're killing, you're crushing prices here. You're offering stuff up Friday only that's only available on Black Friday.
And only available to independent music stores.
That's
no chain
big.
stores.
That's really, really big.
So that's a draw.
Cool. That's
and everything
really
else,
special.
of course, in the store, you know, you get a percentage off, and there's deals, and I have giveaways, and you know, there's
All right.
food,
So it'll be
drink.
a fun day on Friday. So
Yes.
All right. I love it. It's
And you all have to come now.
Well, we're going to have.
Shut the station down. Y'all just got.
I do feel I'll be on a mission on Friday. Music and More Records is 4456 Commercial Drive, Suite B. So you're over there by Tony's Pizzeria.
Yeah,
there,
I'm kind of
Big Apple
nestled
Music
in
and-
between Soho Nails and the Chinese restaurant. So
Okay.
kind of right there.
All right. Pretty cool.
Huge sign.
All right. Well, Kathy Dunn, good luck. And this is really cool.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. We'll make your bag a carry-on.
Oh, yeah, I always do anyway.
Because otherwise,
I don't travel with a lot.
I think they charge you $50 for a bag. Your seat, your ticket to fly on Frontier is like $30. But by the time you're done, you'll spend $800 on the ticket.
So no, I usually just I bring enough that I can do laundry while I'm going wherever I'm going.
Somehow we've just we're
Sorry
just
about
kind of talking like we're
Trying to
the
figure out my
like
holiday
we're not even on
travel
the radio.
plans.
We're just doing holiday plans. And good morning, Jordan, from the
Morning.
Boilermaker. How are you?
Morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
So yesterday, that looks really nice. July 14th is the date of the Boilermaker, and yesterday you guys announced the new logo.
Yeah. Yesterday was the big public unveiling of the 2019 logo. That's always a big day for us because it kind of is, us turning the page on the 2018 race and looking forward to the 2019 race. And I guess it's got a symbolic value for us and I think everybody else around here too.
Yeah.
Bill, you just said the date, and I didn't realize it. Boy,
It's like
it
the
seems
latest
like it's late.
second
It's
Sunday
the latest
of
it can
the
be.
summer,
yeah,
yeah.
is the 14th. I mean, last year was just a couple days
last
after
year
the
was
4th.
the earliest it could be, right?
Exactly. Yep. You guys
so-
are good.
Yeah. And I have to say, last year, my son did the logo last year, so it was really cool for us. We own more Boilermaker memorabilia from last year than anyone.
Whatever they don't sell, they give to the person who made the logo.
No, they don't give it. I just keep buying it. We just keep buying it.
Don't give it.
Hey, there's his logo. How do you walk by that?
25 years from now, Keeler's yard sale. $2 for that. You know who designed that?
Who designed this, by the way?
Yeah, this was designed by Ryan McRogan, a big friend of the race, and he's a very talented graphic designer. And
Yeah, that's really nice.
He approached us. He kind of basically just asked us, how do you guys get this? And the answer for us was there's really no method to it. We kind of make it up every year, figure out how we're going to source it. He came up with a couple ideas. We loved the direction he was going in, and we're really happy with what he came up with. The funny thing is most branding strategists would probably strongly advise against recreating a logo every single year, but we kind of always have done things differently, and it's worked out well for us.
Yeah.
So
I guess I never really thought about that.
Every year it's different.
And he's bringing back the Running Man, the classic Boilermaker Running Man there too, which is
we just call him the running figure.
Oh, sorry, I should know that.
Yeah,
you're right.
Hello, it's 2018, Andrew.
You're
What are
right.
you doing?
That running thing.
No,
All
it's
right.
a good. There are certain elements that kind of carry over from year to year, and that's certainly one of them.
So the logo is out. Does that mean that for the holidays, people will have the opportunity to do some purchasing?
Yeah, absolutely. We have all new 2019 merchandise available. I'm hoping it's going to be available as soon as this afternoon. The best thing to do is just stay tuned to our Facebook feeds and our website. We'll definitely be having some good Black Friday deals and some Cyber Monday deals coming up featuring these logos.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. It looks great. And I do want to say that your former boss, Tim Reed, who was on the radio, and he did this publicly because he wanted people to get checked for prostate cancer. He's in the midst of that battle, and we know he's going to do very well. But, of course, he was your first boss at the Boilermakers.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. Yep, Tim. I owe a lot to Tim for everything that he's done and for the race. He's an amazing guy.
I really think Tim is the reason the Boilermaker is so giving today, and it has so many different aspects of giving back to the community. And here he continues, even after the Boilermaker, he's giving by bringing awareness in hopes that that people remember to get that check, that test done, so that
yeah, absolutely,
it's early detection is what it's all about.
Yep.
So.
Tim he'll never stop giving back. That's for sure. We know that much about him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, think about Tim and his family in your prayers at Thanksgiving this weekend. So.
And registration for the next race begins.
Early access will be March 7th. Then the open registration, open to the general public, will be, I hope I get this right, March 14th, but something right around there. All that stuff is on our website.
I can't wait for that. God, because then it's springtime. We'll
be coming out of this.
We'll be talking about golfing again up here and running again up here and all of that stuff. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Thank you, man. Love the logo.
Thanks.
Nice job.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Got a break. Ryan Noble's next to WIBX. Standing by right now. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. Happy Thanksgiving week. I hope all you guys are doing well.
Do you get home for Thanksgiving?
I'm actually home.
That's
I
nice.
was in Florida for 15 days, flew back Monday, and we are actually getting in the car here in the next hour or so to head to upstate New York, God's country.
Very nice.
It should be fun. We'll spend some time in Buffalo and then by Carrie's family out near Fort Plain in Albany.
Listen, it looks like we have finally come to an end to the 22nd congressional race, as Brindisi's up by some 4,002 votes, with about 1,800 left to count. So it's pretty much over.
Yeah, and it's similar to the situation that I went through in Florida. It seems like we've entered a different era of political races where candidates from both sides, Republicans and Democrats, seem to fight to the bitter end, even when it becomes apparent either on election night or shortly after election night that winning in a recount is going to be impossible. And I think it's interesting that I'm all in favor of counting every single vote, but at some point you kind of got to say, all right, it's time to move on and have a peaceful transition of power here. And I just wonder if there's a lingering impact in how I think this all probably started after the 2000 election, and it seems like each year it gets a little bit worse. And these races, I guess, are even tighter than they've ever been before. But it's interesting. I mean, it's probably good for the people of Central New York that you got a clear idea who your next congressman is going to be, and you can go from there.
And this, what's your take on the Stacey Abrams situation? She's really coming out and saying this was stolen from her, right?
Yeah, and I would say the same thing about Florida, in that you got this real sense during the recount and counting process after the election that both sides' ultimate gain was not necessarily to help voters clearly understand who won these elections, but it was more about scoring political points in the recount process, raising money, and then maybe laying the groundwork for the future. And I think it erodes a bit away from the democracy. In Florida, on the one hand, you had Republicans claiming that there was the possibility of fraud existing in the counting process, which there was no real evidence of. And on the other side, you had Democrats claiming that there were lawful votes that were just not being counted because of the way that Republicans were handling the situation. And neither was true. But, it's interesting. Every time I tweeted about a story in the Florida race, I had half of my Twitter mentions were people claiming that Democrats were making up votes, that they were adding votes that didn't exist. And then on the other side, you had people claiming that Republicans were throwing votes away.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a whole lot of truth on either side of it. And I think that, then people start to lose confidence in the democracy. And in the Georgia situation, I think what's interesting about the Georgia situation was that Stacey Abrams was not trying to get within a margin of victory. She was just trying to get within a margin of a recount, or not a recount, but of a runoff. So in Georgia, if you don't clear 50% on election night, then you go to a runoff. And so she wasn't. There was no talk that she had gotten more votes than Brian Kemp, but she was hoping that she could at least slide into that runoff situation. And so the idea that she's filing a lawsuit and that they're going to go through all this drama. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe the argument could be made that this is good for the system because it's going to provide a full accounting of it. But my lingering feeling from all of it is that, the voter fraud is such a difficult thing to pull off. And when you put that, that little scent of conspiracy in the situation, I just think it makes people uncomfortable with the voting process, and then that makes it difficult for these people to, take power and do their jobs.
Ryan, she was saying on your network, if I'm not mistaken, she would not say that he was the legitimate winner. She kept saying he's the legal winner, and she would not. She was constantly. It wasn't even subtle, hinting that basically she was cheated out of the seat.
Right, and I think
democracy failed was the statement that she made. Democracy failed.
And that's the exact point that I'm making, that, this becomes dangerous. And that's not to say that Brian Kemp handled everything in this election process in Georgia correctly. He probably should have recused himself as Secretary of State, at least the responsibilities of Secretary of State that have to do with administering an election that he's a part of. That's probably on him that he didn't remove himself from that process because he opens himself up to that level of criticism. But, this idea, and here's the thing about Stacey Abrams, and I think you compare her to how Andrew Gillum handled the situation in Florida, is that she pulled off a really amazing feat, right? As an African-American woman in Georgia, which is a, consistently red state, Donald Trump won there by 20 points. To even get within shouting distance of a runoff is an enormous accomplishment, and it shows a level of progress. So by her, to a certain extent, trying to taint the election, doesn't she then hurt these gains that she's made? Isn't she suggesting to a certain extent that even these gains were ill-gotten? On the other side of things, like in Florida, Andrew Gillum knew on election night that he wasn't going to win. Florida has a process where you go to an automatic recount if it's within a certain margin. He allowed that recount to go forward, but then ultimately he stepped aside and said, listen, Ron DeSantis won this election. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
I think both Abrams and Gillum are probably political forces to be reckoned with going forward, but I do think that, the way both of these people handled the subsequent fallout from the election, could come back to have an impact on their political futures.
I want to, but it's easy to throw this stuff out now today when the president of the United States is actually talking about these races as not being legitimate. It's easy for the candidates to come out and say, I agree. And we heard it on election night. Claudia Tenney really talked about the fact that there was corruption involved in the campaign, which there's zero evidence of any of that in this race. But
I want to be clear about this. This is not Democratic problem alone. In many ways, the original sin was committed by the President of the United States during his own election, where it looked, the 2 or 3 weeks before the votes actually were cast, that he, had no shot at winning, and he already started laying the groundwork that if Hillary Clinton won, it would have been done through fraudulent activity, and then still to this day refuses to admit that he lost the popular vote. Has left that air of doubt that perhaps in some way the popular vote was won fraudulently. This is a huge problem. And when you have Republicans claiming on one end that there's this rampant voter fraud, which there's no indication of, and then that opens the door for then Democrats to fight back and say, well, you have disenfranchised and suppressed a certain segment of the population through voter ID laws and from restricted registration policies, and then from not counting every single vote if it weren't perfectly put together. That's just again, we talk about this all the time on your show. There's this whole group of people in the middle of America, and I don't mean middle geographically, but middle on the political spectrum, who are just like, what is going on here? I just want to know who won the election and get on with the business of doing the work. If we continue to fight these elections well into the next administrations, it's really hard to make any progress.
One would think with the technology, the improvements in technology, we would actually be in a better place today. But it seems like,
and we are, Bill. I think that's a great. You raise an incredibly great point. The chances of fraud occurring in these elections is so minuscule now, and I don't think that people really take time to think about what it would take to cook an election. Outside of being the person that physically has access to the software and to the machines themselves. There are no voting machines in the United States that are connected to any kind of external internet source, so you can't hack these elections. Think about what the president suggested happened in Florida, that there were Democrats changing outfits and then coming in as different people to cast ballots. Do you know how much work that would take to have a legitimate impact on the election? I mean, even if somebody did that 1,000 times in one day, in the context of 8.5 million votes, that would just be impossible to have a real impact.
You need a pit crew. You ever see them change a tire? I mean, they're good at it. They do it quickly. They be changing a tire.
Get these shoes.
Not a tire, but a tire.
And the voting machines, the technology has improved so much. The monitoring systems are so much better. I mean, this idea that somehow we've descended into some sort of kangaroo electoral system now, and that we're not really getting a full sense of who won and lost elections, I think is a fallacy. And I think that people need to understand that, the lion's share of election workers across the country do a really phenomenal job, and they do it only once a year. And they still pull it off with a relative precision, and that's not an easy thing to do. So I think people need to have a little bit more faith in this electoral system than what our elected leaders and politicians, the people actually running these races, are giving us.
All right, one last thing, and you might not know anything about this, but I want to throw it out there anyway. Have you seen any of the Monica Lewinsky piece, the Bill Clinton thing on E&E?
I was in Florida when I saw that, and I meant to tape it, and I have not.
Well, you got to watch it.
I'm very interested in
it. Have completely, she was out there saying, crying. I wanted to jump out the window. I wanted to commit suicide. I last week when that clip came out, I was like, give me a break. She exploited this whole thing, and now she's continuing to exploit it. I have completely changed my mind. She was a victim. First, she's a willing participant with Bill Clinton. I don't buy that this ever should have been. The investigation, I don't think there should have been an investigation like this. They were two adult, willing participants, and I get it. She was an intern. It was inappropriate. But it's what that Linda, what's her name? Tripp did to her that was awful. I can't believe. I mean, she wore a wire. I forgot all about half of this stuff. She wore a wire on Monica Lewinsky. And I have completely changed my opinion of Monica Lewinsky. A, I think she's pretty darn bright. And B, she was a complete victim here.
Well, I don't think there's any question at all that the conduct of Bill Clinton and that entire saga, told in the light of 2018 and the Me Too movement, is people look at that at such a dramatically different perspective than they did when it actually happened. And I think that Bill Clinton himself is facing that reality every time he does an interview.
I can't. He is. I can't remember the names. I should have written these down so I could talk about it. But Monica Lewinsky wasn't the big victim, and then there was another woman who was a friend of the family that Clinton totally came on to without her permission, and she had a husband. I mean, there's no doubt. Scum of the earth, I have to say, the way Bill Clinton acted in that White House, and probably acted through his career. But Monica Lewinsky definitely should not be demonized. I'm really surprised.
And I think, too, the point that you made, that you thought for a while that Monica Lewinsky had been the one that had exploited this situation. If you really look back at what Monica Lewinsky's done with her life in the wake of the Clinton saga, she really went underground. We never really heard from her for 20 years. She would put out a fashion line here or there. But here's a woman who, for the rest of her life, no matter what situation she is in, this is what people are going to talk about. And look and talk about it in a very derisive fashion. this is the only thing that she's known for. Bill Clinton was an equal party to this, perhaps an unequal party, really, when you view who he was versus who she was.
Yep.
And people are, this isn't going to be the first line in his obituary. He's got a lot of other things.
Well, and not criminal, but disgusting for a president of the United States. But, even the part where the blue dress was saved, it's like, what kind of woman, young lady, saves a dress like that? Well, guess what? It was Linda Tripp talking her into saving it, saying, you've got to protect yourself. You have to save that dress, and that's why it happened. I am
in her early 20s.
Early
think
20s,
about what we did in our early 20s.
My opinion completely changed. If you get a chance to watch it, it's on A&E. Check it out. Ryan, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and safe travels.
All right, happy Thanksgiving to everybody in Central New York. Have a great, great week, everybody.
You too, thanks.